We are requesting the freedom of Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia now, including the rest of the political prisoners in Cuba, also including the political prisoners of Venezuela, Nicaragua, North Korea, and China. Good morning to all my fellow American compatriots here once again to inform on what's happening, denouncing terrorism and denouncing the corrupt Democrat Party, which is no more the Democrat Party, which is now officially the CPUSA. Let me go to an announcement here, and right away I'll be with the news. This contraption that I bought is it's no piece of cake. Tell you that right now. Okay. Okay, there you go. This equipment here. Well, there's no piece of cake, but I get a hold of it. So I'm doing it a little bit quicker than I was doing at first. But it's not easy for those who want one of these goosenecks. If you could get one that's a little bit more flexible than this one is like almost like trying to dominate a wild horse. Well, here you go. This is the equipment that I'm announcing of a friend of mine from his name is Andres Ramirez. He's established in Mayagüez Mall here in Puerto Rico. The phone number is right there. You can see it. If I'm not mistaken, from here it says 787-805-8101. You can call them and ask them a couple of questions about this generator, electric generator. It works on batteries and solar panel. It's a great alternative to gasoline generators. You can have both. If you have your gasoline generator, you can have this one just in case the other one fails on you. The good thing about this one, you don't have to deal with leakage and contaminants like gasoline and oil changes. It's completely silent. I heard it when it was operating, and it's almost you hardly can hear it. It's like a small buzz. And if you want, you ask him questions. He was telling if it works on 220. I asked him the question. He told me the most expensive one is the one that works on 220. The other two works on 110 only. But you gotta ask him and say there's a guarantee, and if it's in writing, that's gonna be guaranteed that it'll work on 220, that you won't have any problems with the battery and the system, because 220 is pretty strong. And I had problems with this solar panel on another system that I had installed in my house, and I have a whole bunch of 220s. I have a cistern that works on a pump with 220s, and I have a electric stove, not gas stove, and I have this a small gadget that you put to the shower, which is electric. It's a metal type contraction that you screw onto the shower, and it takes up a lot of energy, and it works on 220 only, and it's pretty strong, and you have to ask them all those questions. Make sure that you don't buy this equipment, and then when you have all this turned on or something happens that you have to turn one, or an air conditioner, the air condition system also is, it also takes up a lot of energy too, and or what we call watts. You can ask him all those questions. If it works, if he tells you it works, It's not going to have no problem with that system. Well, you tell them, you're going to put that in writing? Is the guaranteed in writing that's going to work? That I won't have any problem. That it'll work just like if it was a 110. No problem at all. If he tells you yes, okay, well then it's worth it. If he tells you no, I wouldn't recommend it because I had that problem where my wife would take a shower, or I would take a shower. She turned on, or I turned on the electric stove, and boom, my gasoline generator would turn off. I have an Honda, super silent, and it works pretty good, but it doesn't. It barely works on 220. You have to have like maybe one stove on, and you can't take a shower because if you take a shower, which works on 220, then it'll go off on you. You have to have almost the whole house off. No, barely, not even watching TV, just the stove on, and then which works on 220. And then when you finish cooking or whatever you're doing on the stove, then you can go take a shower, and then you go watch TV on the 110. You can't do much on this 110. You can't even put on an air conditioning on this gasoline operated generator because it'll go off on you. So let me go with the news. I got some pretty good videos and these very good videos here. Let's see what's happening in the world of Islam, the so-called religion of peace. Okay, I want to. I hate when a politician turns into a traitor, and plus a politician that was a Republican, like Mike Bloomberg. These guys are traitors. This guy's a traitor. It surprises me that this guy was a Republican. We got a lot of Republicans, according to what I'm seeing and hearing, that are traitors. Mitt Romney is another traitor. We got a whole bunch of traitors in the Republican Party. Like I say, in the future, if for some kind of reason people decide they don't want to vote Republican anymore, go to the right, don't go to the left. Seek out an alternative like the Tea Party movement. That's a better alternative than going left. Because if you're going to go left, you're going to destroy the country. Ronald Reagan said it. If any time in our lives this socialism is established here in this country, it'll be because of liberalism. I wouldn't recommend never again to vote Democrat, never. Their ideologies are destructive. And then they're supporting, and they said they're supporting now Biden. A lot of these people that they lost their chances, like Warren, Buttigieg, Pete, and I forgot this other lady's name, Mike Bloomberg. They lost the possibilities. You can't support a communist. I mean, what the hell's happened with the party? The Democrat Party has destroyed itself. They don't care destroying the country. How are you going to vote for a system that destroyed Venezuela to a point that people are, even Cuba. The problem with Cuba is Cuba been in the communist system, the regime in Cuba has been in power for more than 61 years. And you have people dying in these hospitals because of a lack of medication. Their family has to go feed them. They have to go buy the medicine for them, if they can buy it. The only thing that'll give them in the hospital for cancer is an aspirin. Can you believe that? I'm telling you, it's destroyed. It's destroyed Cuba, and it's destroyed Venezuela. It's already destroyed. Venezuela is already destroyed to the point where it will no longer. It will take years to recuperate if they manage to liberate themselves from that hellhole. Well, here I got something here about Bloomberg. Listen what this deranged, twisted-minded guy says. I was never prouder than when I argued that Muslims had right to build a mosque near World Trade Center. Can you believe this crap from this deranged A.H.? I'm afraid if I say it, it'll make sense of me. I don't know if you get the point what A.H. means. It has to do with rear and a hole in the wall. I was never prouder than when I stood in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty and argued that, oh, now it's different. Now it's a little bit longer than that. Argued that Muslims had every right to build a mosque anywhere in our city, including near the World Trade Center. That's why we're being destroyed. We're being imploded. And it's because of people like this, especially this guy who used to be a Republican. My behind. There's a video. Let me see what the video is. There's a video.
As mayor, I led the largest and most diverse city in the nation. I was never prouder than when I stood in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty and argued that Muslim New Yorkers had every right to build a mosque anywhere in our city, including near the World Trade Center. That 12 years as mayor, I led the largest and most diverse city in the nation.
And
I was never prouder than when I stood in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty and argued that Muslim New Yorkers had every right to build a mosque anywhere in our city, including near the World Trade Center.
I'm glad he lost. Bernie's worse. Let me tell you that much. Bernie's worse. Because Bernie is an outright communist. He doesn't deny it either. He's a communist. He's not like Fidel, who said he wasn't a communist, then became a communist and destroyed his country. He's not like Hugo Chavez, who did the same thing. He bamboozled the people of Venezuela, saying that he was not a communist. And the Cubans, who already had experienced communism, told the Venezuelan people, the guy's a communist. And they wouldn't listen. And look what happened. Same thing. Same thing, destroyed a country that could be almost at the level of the United States, or even probably even richer. Cuba at one point, its dollar was worth. I read in one area, which I never saw it again, even $3 over the American dollar. But then I never saw that. I tried to look for that proof again. I never found it again. But the other ones that I found, which were constant, but it still means a lot. That it said that the Cuban dollar was worth 1 cent over the American dollar. Now that can be credible because they keep repeating a couple of places, because I try to look for proof in different pages. Not only one page, to make sure that what I'm saying is true. Well, according to what I saw and what I read, that was the most truthful information about the Cuban dollar at that time. That was before communism. Now the dollar's not worth nothing. It's like the Venezuelan dollar. The dollar's not worth anything. They're using American dollars. Now in Cuba also they're requesting to use American dollars because the Cuban dollar is not worth anything. And they pay the people in Cuba with that money. Yes, the regime. Where people can't buy even soap. There's no soap. There's no coffee. There's no... I was reading somewhere, it's in Spanish. where they have to, people were waiting in the line for a whole day for, I think it was a bar of soap. I'm not sure if it was a bar of soap. I know it was for something. It could have been a bar of soap, or it could have been a package of laundry detergent or something. They were waiting a whole day. It's not 5 or 6 hours, a whole day in line to get one product. And sometimes when you get to that, let's say you get to the end of the line, I mean, you get to the point where you already entered. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, we're out of the product." It's like that. It's like that. In the comics, it's not like in the United States. You go Walmart, you go Target, you go to there's so many stores, so many types of stores. You go to Walgreens, you go to QBC, I think, I don't remember the name of this pharmacy, and other stores. There's a whole bunch of other stores. And people they want to change this for communism? Well, they have to wait in line maybe a whole day. Besides having to take their kids to school, feed their family, with barely anything, because sometimes you wake up and you're going to think, what am I going to eat today if there's anything to eat? They give you a ration card which barely lasts 10 days. Then the rest of the days, what do you eat? I don't know where it was. Somebody was talking about that the parents would teach them. I'm talking about in the communist country. The parents would teach them how to catch rats so they can eat. If they can find a rat, because everybody was looking for a rat. I think it was in Cuba, but I'm not sure about that. They're eating cats. Who knows dogs too? The hunger over there is terrible. Do you really want that? Hey, liberals out there, you really want that? You want that for your family? You want that for your parents? You want that for your kids? People are stupid. I can't believe Danny DeVito, this midget, rooting for Bernie Sanders and raising his hands like, hey, this is the man. Yeah, vote for him. There's even an announcement he makes, this little twerk. SOB. Okay, let me go to the next one here. Now, this is from the Religion of Peace. And can you tell me if you know from what country? Go ahead, think. What country? And I want to mention here, right here. California, United States. Mother of San Bernardino, jihad mass murderer, admits to shredding maps son used to plan his jihad massacre. Right here in the United States, we have these damn SOBs here. And we're not doing nothing about getting them out of here. Like roaches, they're growing. An infection worse than coronavirus. And deadlier, because at least coronavirus you can control or maybe try to save people by creating a medication. But these people, they're going to kill you. Don't you know that? I'm talking to you liberals who support this shit. You're stupid. I've become a stupid nation. Sometimes, I don't know how I just stop being proud of a country that's just turned into a stupid, completely, incredibly stupid nation. Stupid. And people supporting them. No, they're religion of peace and massacring and killing people. Oh, and that was during Obama, that massacre in San Bernardino. That was during Obama's communist Islamic regime. And you voted for him. Let's see what's next here. Oh, let me show you the photo of the mother. And she's not deported either, thanks to the communist state of California. What's the face of this SOB? This female SOB. There you go. Look at her. Look at that face. Don't forget it. She should be deported immediately. All of them. Not her. All of them. Wow. That's terrible. Let's see what else I got here. It appears political Romney pushes back on Burisma probe because his top advisor sat on board with Hunter Biden. This guy's corrupt to the core. Corrupt. You know, now I know why he's against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump wouldn't let him commit corruption. Okay, let's go to the next one, see what happens here. Hollywood sellers mourn Elizabeth Warren ending her campaign. I want you to see the face of this lady who mourns. I'm grieving. That's what this lady says. There you go. She's mourning. She's mourning that a communist didn't win the position. A female communist didn't win the position as president. Okay, let's see what else we got here. National pro-life leader calls on Chuck Schumer to resign. President of pro-life abortion industry watchdog group Operation Rescue has called upon Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to resign in the wake of his threats Wednesday against Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. As the highest-ranked Democrat in the Senate, it is intolerable that Schumer would issue direct threats by name to two Supreme Court justices. They did not vote this way on this case, said Tony Newman. I call on Chuck Schumer to resign. He should. Too bad he was born. Schumer is in favor of abortion. How come his mother didn't abort him? Isn't that kind of funny that they're in favor of abortion, but they favor that they were born? See, Hillary, people know Biden is a deeply decent person. Yeah, contrary to her. He may be decent, but I doubt her. And him, not even him. Because he favors his corrupt son. So decent, I don't know what kind of decency she's talking about. And the thing is, she says it with a smile on her face, talking about decency, when the most undecent person is in that party is her, one of the most undecent, if not the most undecent. Chicago mayor, which I believe is de Blasio, defends freeing illegal alien accused of child sexual assault. This is the guy. Look at that face. Don't forget it. You know what? De Blasio is the one who should be in prison. He should be arrested and put in prison. Or the family should just sue the hell out of New York. Sue the hell out of the mayor. Sue the mayor directly. Get a good lawyer and just put in a lawsuit. Okay, let's go to the next one. Joe Biden on Trump. I can hardly wait to debate him. Oh, yeah, really? It's like committing a political suicide. I guess Joe Biden has a death wish of his political career. Debating Trump is like I don't know, it's like trying to commit suicide, political suicide. Let's see the next one. Facebook removes Trump campaign ads, saying they violate their censorship policy, or more like a communist repression. I'll put it here. Let's go to the next one here. Bill Clinton claims he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky to manage his anxieties. But that was okay, right? You get off scot-free for that one. This is good news, very good news. Trump to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities. I'm joyous with that one. Thanks to last month's ruling by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, Trump has now announced that the federal government will be withholding funding to sanctuary cities that harbor illegal aliens. Very good, very good. You have to go out to Trump. You have to go out to California ASAP. California, New York. Oh, and Virginia. Trump makes history.
President Trump's administration makes history.
From Next News Network.
This time, making history by his nomination, his choice for Air Force Chief of Staff. I've got the details. Before I get into that, if you're new here, go ahead and tap that red button down below to subscribe. Then hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when the latest news is published. And if you're currently subscribed, double check that you still are. Your notifications enabled. This story from the Washington Examiner. Zachary Halishak from the Washington Examiner reports that President Trump has nominated General Charles Brown Jr. to be the next Air Force Chief of Staff. The Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, made the announcement on Monday, putting it up on Twitter right here. Esper announced the POTUS nomination of General Charles Q. Brown Jr. as his 22nd Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force. They state here that if Brown is confirmed by the Senate, he will be the Air Force's first black service chief. Brown is currently commander of the Pacific Air Forces, a role that he has been in since 2018. Now, if confirmed, Brown, known as CQ, would take over for General David Goldfein, who's been Air Force Chief of Staff since July of 2016 and is expected to retire this year. They state here that the U.S. Air Force, on Twitter, Secretary of Air Force Barbara Barrett put out this. U.S. Air Force will be well served by the formal talents of CQ Brown. He tweeted, he has unmatched strategic vision and operational expertise. His leadership will be instrumental as the service continues to focus on the capabilities and talent we need to implement the NDS, which is short for the National Defense Strategy. They're right here that Brown is a graduate of Texas Tech University and was commissioned in 1984. He's an experienced F-16 combat pilot. Prior to serving as commander of the Pacific Air Forces, was the deputy commander of the U.S. Central Command. Nick Goldstein congratulated Brown on his nomination and lauded his experience in a tweet on Monday, stating, "Congratulations to General C.Q. Brown on his nomination to be our next chief. He's led worldwide in the Pacific, Europe, and the Middle East and Africa. When it comes to global operational savvy, there's nobody stronger than the finest warriors our U.S. Air Force has ever produced." Brown will be the first African American to sit on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Colin Powell, who was chairman from 1989 to 1990. Comment below. We'll see you at the next report for the Next News Network. I'm Gary Fridge.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please.
And liberals have the guts to call Trump a racist. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna put this one in, then this the last one is gonna be a real good one if the signal doesn't go away from me. I want you to hear the last one. But this one, I'm gonna put it on. This is from Next News Network also. Well, this one last.
Why does the left try to do this to your community, and what do people in your community think about what
Talking about
what you
racism.
support?
Well, they hate who I support, many of them. They think that I'm a traitor to the community. They've told it to my face. I've lost some of my best friends I've ever had, ex-best friends, all because of my views, all because I voted for Trump. I lost a manager who was really supportive of me. He was LGBT, and he said, "I can't work with you anymore because no one's going to want to work with a Trump supporter."
Is President Trump a real threat to the LGBTQ community?
In my opinion, no. I think
Why did they believe that he is?
Okay, well, they think he is because of what's happening in the Supreme Court right now. There's a case that's going up in the Supreme Court. Are we okay? Talking about how it's religious freedom for people to be fired on the basis of being gay, and trans, which trans is very different than gay. That's gender. I'm talking about specifically when I talk about sexual orientation. Okay, so they can fire people on the basis of that. So I had an interview with someone, and he was just like ripping me over and over about how, the administration is supporting this, is supporting it. And I think that there's like this just mixed messaging about what freedom of religion or what it really.
So the administration is supporting an employer's, will you say, right to not hire someone?
Yeah.
Or could they fire someone based on that?
I think so, yeah.
The administration supports this.
That's what this person was telling me as he was interviewing me on Sirius XM, yeah.
But do they have their facts right? Is that truly the case?
I don't think so. I don't think they do. I have to look at it, investigate it more. But it's so hard to trust things that they say because they lie. So I'm like,
today I'm a woman,
that might be a little jarring if you showed up in a dress like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna give you coffee." Like coming from a guy who's wearing chaps, right? But this is my job. I'm a rock star. I get to dress how I want to.
Right.
But if you're working at Starbucks, you show up in a dress. I don't know. That's a little weird, and I don't like how they conflate gender issues with sexual orientation issues. They're completely different things. So I definitely think it's wrong to fire someone on the basis of being gay. But they're talking about religious freedom. So they're talking about people who maybe work in church or something. And there are many paleo conservatives that don't like gay people and don't like gay things. And that's their view. And okay, that's why I don't really consider myself, I know I'm like on television right now, I'm not really consider myself a Christian, but I support all my Christian friends and I love Christians. I love the ones who are fighting to be kinder people to each other, because that's what I fight for as a person.
Well, what should be said is the Bible is pretty simple. It says, love one another. Love your neighbor as yourself.
That's what I was taught.
So right there, it doesn't matter, okay? And it's not my business what you do in the bedroom. Okay, but I don't think the government should be legislating anything
Right.
that has to do with what you do in the bedroom.
Right, because I think it's a biblical issue. So that's why we have this beautiful thing called the Constitution. It's a secular constitution for a reason, and they separated church and state. So I'm pro that, but I'm also pro. I don't think that people should do things that they feel uncomfortable with. So it's like this weird place where I sit. But I told the guy, I'm like, okay, because I have a little bit of difference in this issue, like I'm 2% one way, or I'm 2% against something, or not really 100% supportive. I'm supposed to vote as a Democrat for things that I can't stand, like open borders, or giving hormone blockers to children, or socialism and communism, and the list goes on and on of all these things I don't agree with. I'm not going to agree with every single thing.
Now, what are some of the things you do agree with the president on? What are the policies that really, really attract you to him?
I love his alpha nature. I wrote an album called The New Alpha. It's available on Spotify and iTunes. It's really good. It has a song called Sheep on it. And anyway, he inspired me to find my own inner alpha. And I like Trump's alpha attitude, take charge attitude. I like his commitment to creating jobs for people. I love that we have 7 million plus new jobs. I love the low unemployment for people, African Americans, Latinos, lowest unemployment. That's all great for everybody, regardless of what you do in the bedroom. That's good for everybody.
Exactly.
Jobs. I love that. And a strong economy. And number one is safety. I feel like this president's doing a great job to secure our borders. I'm a big wall supporter. Build that epic wall.
Build the wall.
What the heck? What's so wrong with that?
My son, he loves to watch Peppa Pig memes. That's his thing. I don't know if you know who Peppa Pig is.
Pepe.
No, not Pepe the Frog. Peppa Pig.
Oh, Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig. Okay, my son
I was
loves.
gonna say you like
And there's one meme that he loves to watch, and it's a voiceover of President Trump on the cartoon pig building the wall. And then he's like, we're gonna build the wall, the big beautiful wall. And you see this little cartoon pig doing it. So now my son runs around the house shouting this one day, build the wall. I'm like, where do you get that? But my son, he knows that we're a big Trump supporting family. It was really fun.
Good.
Yeah, build the wall.
Build that effing wall.
Well, you know what? Walls are starting to form. They're actually forming in the Democrat Party between all these candidates who are just they're throwing rocks at each other on stage. It's insane.
Yeah.
Tell me about. Have you watched some of these Democrat debates, and what is your first reaction? You take away.
Well, when they were first doing it, I'm like, these can't be the candidates. That was my first reaction. This can't be it. Hillary is gonna run. I just knew it. Or Michelle Obama. I felt like something else has to.
Or Oprah. Everyone's like, Oprah's gonna run.
Because these candidates are clowns.
Yeah.
They're real clowns. And I love, I have a lot of people in the industry who dress me, and they love me, and they love Bernie. They're big Bernie supporters, and that's fine. But we can be friends, and that's what I really want to do with my music. My new music is called American Rebel, and I have a new song called Turn Up the Love. And I really want to bring the right and the left together. We may disagree on a lot of things, but we got to learn how to love each other and work each other on a human level. You talked about God and Christianity and loving people. I feel like we have to do that. So I'm watching the Democrat Party, and I'm seeing the chaos, but I'm not a Bernie guy. Never be a socialist. I'll never be a communist. What killed me about Bernie, the second I saw this, remember he was doing the debates, or doing a rally, and the two women took the mic from him and started shouting Black Lives Matter and stuff like that? He walks off the stage. He's done that several times, where he's let these girls, these women, take him over. How is he going to handle ISIS? How is he going to handle Putin? How is he going to handle Kim Jong-un? He's just going to walk away and let them steamroll. What an awful human. I'm sorry, that's an awful human. I don't want a human being like that running this country. I want someone strong. Trump would never let someone take the mic from him. As a singer, someone taking your mic from you is like a big no-no. You never take the mic away from a singer. And that's exactly what
I'm going to take
is.
your mic right now. As you're saying this, we're on microphones. Oh my God.
You're like,
kick the microphone.
and your hair.
It's ridiculous. You bring up a really good point. And I'm glad you said that, because these people walk up on stage and he walks away. He surrenders to his microphone. And if that's what he's going to do on a small stage in front of a group of 30 people,
Imagine.
on the world stage, what's it going to look like?
We are gonna, we can't let
That's
it
where we
happen.
gotta stop
That's
it.
what the stakes are very, very high this year, and I feel like people are really feeling a little comfortable because Trump's done such a great job. But the stakes couldn't be higher. We can't let it happen.
Do you have anyone you think on the Democrat side who is showing that they would be the front runner to beat Trump?
I think that Bernie is a contender. I do. I don't understand why people are always saying like, "Oh, he's gonna lose." He's just gonna lose, like very bluntly. I think that Bernie has a strong support amongst the people who want free SHIT. They want free. That's a powerful thing. It's hard to keep it. You know, they really believe that their college is going to get paid for. Everything's going to be paid for. It's like we're asking you to go get a job. Like work hard. The work hard people are like yes, and the other people who are entitled and they want it, they're going to vote for him.
Well, you're working hard. You have a new Vegas show.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I do. I have a new Vegas show. It's going to be called American Rebel, and it's going to correspond with my new album, American Rebel. And it's going to be fun, and it's going to be sexy, and it's going to be patriotic. It's going to be all kinds of things.
Now, if people want to get to listen to your music, they want to order CDs. Do they even order CDs anymore? Are CDs even
On my
being made?
website, you can order it, and
Yeah,
I'll
you
sign
can still
it.
use them.
Okay, I just wanted everybody to hear the part where he was talking about the racism he's going through with the liberals,
RickyRebelRocks.com.
where they deny him work because he's a conservative. Okay, now I got this one's going to be real good because this one talks about denouncing socialism. This is the aunt of Ted Cruz, and they're interviewed by Mike. Let me I just forget his name right now. No, let me trying to remember the name. This guy's pretty good.
He only, if you go there as a Cuban, you go.
A specter is haunting the United States. The specter of Bernie's revolution. We are joined tonight not just by the senator, but by someone who fled another socialist revolution, one that Bernie Sanders speaks very highly of. This is Verdict with Ted Cruz. Welcome back to Verdict with Ted Cruz. We are joined as ever by the senator and also by the senator's Tia Sonia. My Spanish is not very good, but I think that was about right. Aunt Sonia.
That is correct.
Thank you. This is, in a few days, going to be the 58th anniversary of your fleeing the communist regime in Cuba.
That is correct.
And yet we've got the leader of the Democratic Party nomination process is praising the Fidel Castro regime. I think we have to quote.
Very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba. But it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing?
Listen, Bernie has spent his entire life, his entire career, praising communist dictators. But this week, his latest ode to Fidel Castro, frankly, just pissed me off. And this is not a joke. This guy is the front runner for the Democratic nomination to be president, and he sings the praises of Castro and Cuban communism. My dad fled Cuba in '57. My Tia Sonia was still there. She was a kid. And so she saw the Cuban Revolution firsthand, and she ended up fighting against Castro. So, Tia, if you would, I just want you, first of all, tell me what it was like to be in Cuba when the revolution happened, when Castro took over.
Actually, it was a lot of people were happy because finally somebody was coming in that was praising, we're going to give you a chance to change a hope. We're going to change things around. Everybody was going to have whatever they want to. The poor will never be poor. The rich continue to have money, and everybody will be the same. In reality, yes, everybody went the same, but everybody was poor. Everybody went down. Everybody got paid the same amount of money. There was no difference between the poor and the rich. Everybody.
And it's not that everyone was rich. Everyone was poor and suffering and miserable.
Yeah, and everybody was miserable. Everybody was miserable. What Bernie is saying is a bunch of garbage.
So you're there. You're a teenager. How old were you?
Probably 16, 15.
Okay, so you're seeing this. You're a teenage girl.
Right.
You see what's happening. You see Castro begin executing people.
Yeah, persecuting people. Nobody could talk. Nobody could say anything. He trained the people to even be against the family. The sons against the father, the daughters against the father.
So how did he do that?
By indoctrinating these people, by telling them, we're going to give you this and that and the other, and it's all going to be free, but you got to tell us what's going on in your house, who talk against the government. So everything was persecuting one another, especially the older people that actually we live a good life before in Cuba. It was beautiful.
What do people face in terms of their friends and neighbors and families spying on them?
You have people in each block. There is somebody that is responsible to keep an eye on you in your house.
So there's a tattletale.
An individual,
There's a spy in every block.
in every block, and they tell you keep an eye on every neighbor of this block. So
and what sort of things are they watching for?
They're watching for everything. If you bring anything, I'm going from United States to Cuba, and there's somebody coming in. So we need to watch that house in case they go out and sell in the black market, or they do something with what you brought in. So there's somebody's always keeping an eye on you and try to report you. A good thing that happened to me that is very interesting. One of the trips that I went back to Cuba, I wanted to take some of the kids from there to go fishing. I love fishing. So I went in and tried to rent a boat, and they told me, we can't. We don't rent boats to Cuban people. And I said, you may leave. And I said, look, I have a passport. I have a flight leave on Friday. I already left. So I'm coming in to take my family on a boat ride. We can't give it to you. We can't rent you a boat. You're Cuban. So
because they're so.
By the way, Michael, if you go there, you can rent a boat.
You can
as
rent
an
a
American.
boat.
Right? She can't rent a boat because she's Cuban, even though she's an
Oh,
American
Michael
citizen
knows
now.
now
Yes,
another name.
you're Cuban. So you can't do it. There was a boat in the river that my niece wanted to go in. And when we get in to ride the boat with the rest of the people, they said, y'all cannot get in. You all are Cuban. And I said, but we're paying with the same money that they're paying. Well, I'm sorry. You can't come in. You're not from another country. You're Cuban. And Cuban people are not allowed.
They're not allowed to leave.
No,
because
they're
they
not
know if they
allowed.
were allowed to leave, they'd all leave. Sonia, how quickly after, as you say, people liked Castro initially. He was promising them the world. How quickly did it turn? I mean, how quickly did it turn?
It turned right away.
It did.
Right away. He immediately started saying the policies that he wanted to do. He was going to take things away from the rich. He was going to take things away from the people to give to others. He was to actually take money from you and give it to the poor. So on the other side, I make my money. I work for what I have. My father worked hard to be where he was. My mother was a great school teacher. She was proud of what she was doing. My mother itself was told that she have to teach at the school a different kind of curriculum. She was told she needed to teach about the revolution, Castro, the regime, the things that needed to happen. My mother had to actually pretend that she was losing her mind, and she was dismissed immediately.
So let me underscore this story. Listen, I grew up hearing this story as a kid. I mean, I would sit with my cousin Bibi, who's
That is correct.
Sonia's daughter. The two of us would sit literally on the floor in the living room and listen to my dad and my tia Sonia tell us stories about the revolution, and my abuelo and abuela. Their parents were there also. So my grandmother, my abuela, she's a 6th grade teacher. Castro takes over. and she's ordered, you must teach communism to the kids. You must indoctrinate. You must brainwash the kids. And my grandmother said she wasn't going to do it. And so it's funny. My tia Sonia mentioned something just very mild. But my grandmother pretended she was insane. In the classroom, she began literally foaming at the mouth and pretending she was insane. Why? Because she couldn't quit. In the communist dictatorship, she wasn't allowed to quit. And she made the decision she would rather have the stigma, have the shame of people thinking she was a crazy person than be a part of indoctrinating these kids.
That is true, and it was very painful because my mother was a great teacher. It was loved by many people, but you have to play crazy in order to get out of that situation.
But what I want to know is how in Cuba, the public opinion changes very quickly. People see what a monster Castro is, and they start to hate his guts. How is it that in the United States, now so many years on, 58 years on now since you left, you have a presidential candidate, you get a U.S. senator who's still singing the praises of this guy? What did he miss?
He have not been with the Cuban people. He only, if you go there as a Cuban, you go and see somebody, a relative. You're going to see the misery that they live in. They don't know what to put on the table to serve their kids. They don't know how to get, they're going to get the food that they're going to eat tomorrow. If you go in as somebody from another country or as a tourist, you actually become prisoner of the government. They take you where they want you to go. They showed you the model school. They showed you the best hospitals. They showed you the best restaurants.
In 1989, Sanders stated after visiting Cuba, quote, I did not see a hungry child. I did not see any homeless people. Bernie said the Cuban people, quote, had an almost religious affection for Castro.
That is not true. He is lying. He's lying to the people of this country. He is playing on the mind of the younger generation here.
He was either himself complicit in the lie or he was naive enough or ideological enough to let the Castro regime lie to him and say, look at this paradise.
They didn't take him to where the Cuban people were. Cuban people are starving to death. Cuban people don't have any money to buy anything.
So let me take you back, Pia, back to 59, back to 60. The revolution succeeded. You begin fighting against Castro. What happened to you as a result? What happened when you started fighting?
I was constantly persecuted. People was looking for me everywhere. They want to take me to prison. They picked me up several times.
So you were pretty clearly fighting against him.
Totally against Castro. Yes.
So this is after Castro's taken over. So he's the dictator.
Yes.
So what happened? Like when they picked you up, what happened? What does that mean?
Well, they put you in a room and there was people sitting on the floor and everybody's, that's where you were with a whole bunch of people on the floor and they keep you there for 2 or 3 days. My parents did not know where I was. My mother did not know, so she was going crazy trying to find me. My friends that I have could not even come and find out with my parents where was I or what was wrong with me. They were afraid because everybody was persecuted. So it was very difficult to live under Castro regime.
When you left Cuba, 62 you left?
Right.
You've been back a bunch of times.
Right, yes.
So when you come back, you usually bring a duffel bag with medicine,
I bring
clothes.
food, clothes, sheets.
Just for relatives,
Just
for friends.
Friends, people that need
So they can't get anything there.
nothing.
She leaves a suitcase. She leaves every bit of clothes she bought. She leaves her underwear and bra.
Everything.
Because nobody has underwear there because there's so much poverty. You'll wear like sweatpants, a t-shirt, and flip-flops. That's what she wears
And that's how I
on the
come back
plane
here.
coming back.
Right, that is correct.
A lot of people don't understand what is the difference between socialism and
That
communism.
is correct.
Socialism is simply the economic system of communism. Socialism is government ownership of the means of production or distribution. Cuba in the 1950s was the world's #1 producer of sugar.
Yeah.
It had problems. Look, Batista was a corrupt dictator.
Right.
He was a bastard. My father, to this day, doesn't have his front teeth because Batista's police kicked them in. His his army officers kicked them in.
But what about the universal health care? I mean, we were told by a lot of people in the United States, a lot of left-wingers, they say Cuba has some of the best health care in the world and everybody's covered.
I can personally tell you that I went to the doctor there because I have mosquito bites that I got into an allergy infection, and they put a shot on me in front of 60 other people that were there waiting for to be seen by a doctor. There's no transportation, there's no gas. So you can't move. Doctors come to your house in a bicycle, and they're hungry. They're hungry. When they get there, they come to the house to see. Matter of fact, I was in a house visiting, and they were trying to see the little girl. He came on a bicycle, and I bought some things that there was somebody in the street selling, and they said, "Can I have one?"
Probably the most visible sign that Cuba hasn't changed or hasn't progressed is they have those old cars, right?
Yes.
And you know, people like to think that that's sort of quaint and cute that they have cars from the 1950s. The reason they have cars from the 1950s is they can't get anything else.
You know, the scary thing about all of this is you've got the experience of it, 58 years of experience since you left Cuba. There are various studies that have come out that show that even the majority of young Americans, millennials and Gen Z, now embrace socialism and prefer it to capitalism. Now, the bright side, I will say, the silver lining, is that a much smaller percentage can actually define socialism.
That's
so
right.
there would seem to be a problem there. But beyond just ignorance, beyond just not knowing what it is what is drawing young Americans to this evil ideology?
It's the word that is giving out, the change. They want to see something different. They want to try something new. It doesn't work, guys. It does not work. All of this ambition and giving it to me. There's nothing given to you. You need to work and try to achieve your dream by hard work and by doing what you want to get ahead.
I mean, I've noticed this with your colleague, Senator Sanders. You know, I mean, he's been talking about this for 50 years and no one listened. But now only, now that he's in his mid-70s, it's catching on. And I even think of this absent Bernie Sanders. Forget about him for a second. It took a long time. People knew that communism, socialism were terrible for so long. And now they don't know that.
Well, and too often they're not taught in schools what happened. How many Bernie supporters know that the Soviet Union killed 20 million people and China killed 77 million?
Right.
They don't know that.
No.
And so when Bernie defends it seems, look, and I have to admit, I remember in college, a guy who lived down the hall from me had a poster on the wall of Che Guevara.
Yeah.
And I went in, I said, hey, that's really cool. That's all, Che Guevara was a guerrilla, fought with Fidel Castro in Cuba. And I said, hey, that's really cool. That's awesome. Have you thought of maybe putting a poster of Hitler next to it? And maybe Stalin and Mao? Like, if you're going to celebrate people that torture and murder, actually, Che was amateur.
He was weak.
Right.
He was low on the totem pole.
But, he was good looking, he had stubble, and he was, these villains have been glamorized. And it's dangerous.
We've talked a lot about the political and the economic side of things, how the government takes all your stuff and then they take power away from you. You are both religious. I notice, Sonia, you have a cross that you're wearing, obviously, Senator Cruz. One of the big aspects of communism, as it's always been practiced, is the atheism of it all. And I wonder if there's a relation here that as religiosity in America has declined, as young people are raised more or less without a religion, if maybe that's playing some role in why communism is catching on. One of the great men of the 20th century to defeat communism was Pope John Paul II.
Well, and Pope John Paul II played a profound role of going to Poland and promising that Poland would be free and speaking up. And it was truly, I think, divine providence.
They cheered. They said,
Pope
we want God.
and Reagan and Margaret Thatcher all at the same time. And I think those three people, more than any human beings on earth, defeated the Soviet Union and won the Cold War. Mind you, Bernie was rooting for the Soviet Union during all of that.
He's not even hiding it that much.
Bernie honeymooned in the Soviet Union. Michael, where'd you honeymoon?
I honeymooned in Hawaii, USA.
Okay, that's where like normal people. You go to the beach. You go to Heidi and I went to St.
Oh, my
Thomas. It
time.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
We were walking along the beach. We had fun. What kind of crazy ideologue
Yeah.
says, "Sweetheart, I love you so much. Let's do a honeymoon in the Soviet Union." You know that clip
Oh,
you
my
played.
God.
He says he's no friend of Putin. There's only one person I know on the national stage that honeymooned in the Soviet Union. You know, the Soviet Union killed over 20 million people. This is not cute little faculty leftists. If Bernie was a professor at some liberal arts college out in the frozen tundra, who cares? He's just corrupting a few young minds. This is someone who wants to be president of the United States, and he kisses up to and apologizes for totalitarian dictators. And you know who he doesn't praise? Americans.
Right.
Like, when have you ever heard him speak as positively about Abraham Lincoln
Right.
as he does about Castro and Ortega and Mao and Stalin? Listen, communism also hates God.
Yeah.
If you look at these communist regimes, they persecute faith, they prevent people from. The beauty of the First Amendment is it gives everyone the right to choose how to worship, what your faith will be. You know, Bernie, when he praised China in the debate this week, somehow when Bernie talked about its great poverty eradication, you don't have to go back to Mao to find the torture and murder. Right now, today, there are 1 million Uyghurs, a religious and ethnic minority, 1 million in concentration camps in China today. Why is Bernie and why are leftists so willing to praise and be proud of regimes that are torturing and murdering people?
Do you think this is part of why they make their appeal successfully, though? Because the thing I notice so much about the socialists in America today is they're all making these very moral arguments. It's about human rights. It's about giving people their right to health care and their right to have a lot of money.
Here's a story my grandmother told me. In the schools, you would have Cuban soldiers come in, and this is kindergarten, first grade.
Yep.
And they'd tell the children, they'd say, close your eyes and pray to Jesus for a piece of candy. And the kids would all do it, and they'd open their eyes, and there'd be no candy. And then the soldiers would say, close your eyes and pray to Fidel Castro for a piece of candy.
You're kidding me.
And the kids would close their eyes, and the soldiers would put candy on their desks. And they'd open their eyes, and there was candy. This is the literacy program Bernie Sanders is praising. This is the indoctrination that my abuela refused to participate in.
And that is true. They are actually indoctrinating the people since they were tiny little kids.
Did it work? I mean, did the...
Of course it doesn't work.
It doesn't work as people
It
see
doesn't
reality.
work. People, why don't they work? They don't work. Nobody want to work in Cuba. Why do they want to work? They're going to make the same money that you're making, that he's making. Why do I want to do that?
But do they believe the theory? I mean, does the indoctrination end up persuading people?
Actually, they thought that it was going to be reality. They really blind them to believe what they were saying, but they immediately took the blind off and saying everybody's in the same boat. We're all hungry.
They know they're hungry. They know they're poor. They know
Right.
they're miserable. They know that hasn't happened.
That's right.
I mean, there's a reason people every day risk their lives to flee Cuba.
That's correct.
You know, Reagan, the height of the Cold War, he had a great way of putting it. He said, the thing liberals never seem to notice is on the Berlin Wall, the machine guns all point in one direction. That you didn't get anyone from East Germany saying, or from West Germany saying, I got to go live in that communist paradise.
Right.
The way I like to put it as a Cuban American is the thing liberals never notice is in Cuba, the rafts are all going one way, just once.
That's right.
I'd like to see Bernie Sanders go hop on a raft in Key West
Yeah.
and
Yes.
hit 90 miles
That's
south.
right.
And by the way, he
Not a lot
wants
of rafts
socialized
going there.
medicine. They have
Then
it there.
go
It's
over
just
there.
you can't actually see a doctor. You can't get medicine. You can't get toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, tying in all of these points on the economic, on the political, and on the religious, communism has been called the God that failed, right? It was a sort of substitute religion, a substitute God, and it failed. And you saw it fail personally. what was the biggest shock? I mean, what was the biggest despair, the biggest regret when you saw something that you had believed in fail?
Well, the biggest, it was seeing the people suffering for not being able to even get food to put on the plate.
It's so basic.
The basic things, don't being able to work, because why do you want to work when you don't have anything to buy with? You know, that money disappear from you immediately. And you all know the numbers, but you know, an average person make $30 a month.
$30 per month.
$30 per month.
Wow.
So what are you going to do with that?
Right.
So people are being drinking water. You see the kids, they drink water with sugar to get their stomach full.
It's that basic need. It's so interesting that you say that, because communism starts out as this idealistic fantasy, very highfalutin, very high-minded, literacy programs, all that, and then the reality of the failure is people
totally
can't even
different.
fill their stomachs.
That is true.
Although, you know, there is one exception, which is the Communist Party rulers. Look, Fidel Castro lived like a billionaire.
Oh,
He filled his,
yeah.
and by the way, Putin lives like a billionaire. Maduro, Hugo Chavez before him, they live like billionaires.
Right.
Communism, when you have all the power at the top, and what does Bernie suggest it would be any different if the government is in charge of everything?
Yeah.
Every place that has happened, the rulers live like kings, and
Right.
everyone else is miserable.
Right. Well, we did actually get one mailbag question that I think is very much on this topic, which is, with the Democratic Party veering so far to the left, and embracing these absolutely disgusting positions, hopefully will turn off most of the American people. Should conservatives be happy? Should conservatives be happy that the God that failed is about to fail the Democratic Party?
Not necessarily.
No.
You're not as complacent.
I understand people saying, okay, great, Bernie's so extreme, that means Trump will get reelected. I hope Trump gets reelected. I'm working hard to reelect the president. But listen, what is truly terrifying is I think the American people could elect a wild-eyed socialist.
Yeah.
Yes.
The media, we're a divided country. If 100,000 votes had flipped in 2016, Hillary Clinton would be the president right now. And Bernie, the media treats him kind of like your crazy uncle. Oh, he's just the crazy uncle. Isn't that cute? He's praising murdering, torturing communist dictators. Well, this guy believes this stuff.
Right.
In his heart and soul, he believes it. His whole life has been dedicated
Right.
to it. And I got to admit, it's all fine and good to celebrate, unless he ends up winning.
Unless it happens.
And
Oh, God.
God help the direction this country goes with that.
Well, because you already fled one communist hellhole, and this was the great hope, as America's the great
There's
hope.
no place to go.
Where do you go
There's
after
no
this?
place to go.
Well, I hope you won't go anywhere. You, the listener, we've already used up more than our time, and we've taken up too much of your time, Tia Sonia, but thank you so much for being here. And we've got a lot more coming up on the show anyway, so be sure not to flee anywhere. I'm Michael Knowles. This is Verdict with Ted Cruz.
Well, there you go. That's communism for you. People who praise communism, there you go. I couldn't say it any better. If you want communism, that's it. You get nothing. Nothing. Bernie can guarantee you free university. What university? You think the professors are going to stay? They're going to flee. They're going to be the first one to flee. They're not going to work for, hey, let me tell you what, I don't know. I can't believe what, in one way, I think it's worse than what Ted Cruz said. Because the last thing I know is they made like $26 a month, not $30 a month. We're not talking about a teacher, or we're not talking about an electrician, which the salary can go from from $10 to $17 a month. I'm talking about a university professor or a doctor. Well, she said it right there. A doctor goes to your house on a bicycle. I'm surprised they could go on a bicycle. Maybe it's a bicycle that somebody loaned them, because some of them can't even afford that, because on a salary of $26 a month. She said $30. From what I've read, it's 26. But okay, let's say it's $30 a month. Plus, they got to put food on their table. Where they're gonna get, with $30? How much can you buy with $30 a month? You can't buy hardly anything. They go, these doctors, hey, the first thing, the professionals are going to flee from the country. I don't know where they're going to go. Maybe to Argentina, maybe to Chile, maybe to Australia, maybe to an Islamic country, because at least Islamic country, or maybe to China where they got free marketing. Or maybe to an Islamic country where if they convert to Islam, the countries that got free marketing, where you can, if you work, you're allowed to live, and if you convert too. I mean, if you convert, you're allowed to live there. I don't know. Maybe Israel would be another alternative. I don't know. Believe me, it's going to be hell on earth. If we decide to go to that route, it's going to be hell on earth. And the liberals are going to be the first one to regret it, and they're going to die just as well as anybody who's not a communist. They're going to die of hunger. They're going to die of lack of medication. They didn't talk about that there. They didn't talk about a pensioner getting. That's another thing they didn't say in this program, where a pensioner gets $4 a month, and a veteran from the War of Angola, a war veteran, gets $3. He used to get $4, and $1 was taken out because Raul Castro said, no, they had to tighten their belt now. Every time he wants to screw the Cuban people, the regime, Raul Castro said, oh, we got to tighten our belts again. And tightening our belts, forget about it. It's the Cubans are the ones going to be affected, not him. He gets to eat everything he wants. Well, there you go. I hope liberals could think before they decide who they're going to vote for, because if they do vote for that, believe me, they're voting for their own death. They're committing suicide. God bless you all. God bless my country. God bless you, Donald Trump. I always pray for you and your family. I always pray for Israel. I stand with God and Israel eternally, like always. See you soon. Bye-bye.